Hello, I'm Samantha Nolan-Smith, and this is Lessons in Visibility. In this show, we ask what can be learned from the two faces of visibility. The first involves stepping forward and choosing to be seen and heard. The second opens you up to new ways of seeing and hearing the world around you. Welcome to the show. Today, we're diving into understanding the link between trauma and visibility and why you might want to approach visibility differently if you have experienced trauma, if you are processing trauma, if you have trauma in your history. To start this investigation, I'm going to use one definition of trauma. It's not the only one, but it's one that's very useful to understand in the context of a conversation around visibility. And that is that trauma can be understood as too much, too soon, too fast, which then creates an overwhelm in the system where our body, our soul, our spirit can't integrate what's happening. And as a response, we then move into fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. The link to visibility is that so much advice around getting yourself out there, expanding your reach, growing your business is a very fast, very pushy kind of approach to competing in a marketplace. It's very patriarchal, it's very masculine. And for many people, that can feel like too much, too soon, too fast. So if you're trying to follow this approach, and you're essentially pushing and hustling and you're growing your audience, there's a point at which this can all feel completely overwhelming, and you can then move into one of the trauma responses, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which then shows up in your business as either actively repelling people that you actually want in your community, but you just unconsciously trying to push people away. It can show up as being really inconsistent with your visibility efforts. And so you're there and then you're not there. You're there and then you're not there. It can show up as having boundary problems, which is more of the fawning response, where you are feeling really overwhelmed because you're over delivering and you're not wanting to say no and you're not wanting to displease people. Or it can just look like flight, where you just completely disappear. Either you disappear from social media or you disappear from the online world for a period of time. And you see this all the time where people are like, oh, hi, I'm back now. When you look at these through the lens of trauma, then you start to see that a big part of the problem is simply that there are not enough models of visibility and being visible in your business, which are not a wham bam, thank you ma'am approach, or a 10x your business in 6 months and all your dreams are going to come true. Which is why one of the things that I like to talk about here at the School of Visibility is sustainable visibility, is holistic visibility, is visibility that is aligned to your nervous system. And when you're still healing from trauma, then it is really important to understand the role your nervous system plays in the visibility process. If you try and push it beyond what it is comfortable with, it's going to cause problems. And so you want to take a gentle approach where you're matching who you are with the level of visibility that you're experiencing. This is why inside Women Speaking Up, we focus almost all of our attention on either block clearing, which is helping settle the nervous system, ground the nervous system, and helping you to be less triggered by the circumstances of the world around you, less triggered by people coming into your community, less triggered by interactions with people. And we focus on habit building because habit building is excellent for the nervous system. As you build habits, your nervous system matches your habits and vice versa. As you settle your nervous system, you're able to build more habits. And that way you're stepping side by side. Visibility action, nervous system, visibility action, nervous system. The other thing that I really like to talk about with my students and then talk about more broadly across the School of Visibility community is the power of systems to support you as you're doing this work. Because we do want to be visible even when we've got quite a bit of inner work to do. We don't want to wait until all of that's done and then start being visible. And one of the ways that we can do that, one of the ways we can give ourselves space, which is what we need when we're going through a trauma response, we need space. We need to feel safe. We need to then feel like we're being autonomous in the actions we're taking, that we're at choice about these things. One of the things that can help create that space are systems, visibility systems. And by visibility systems, I mean automation. I mean finding ways to repurpose content so that you aren't continually feeling like, I've got to produce more, I've got to produce more, got to produce more. Having content available to show up on your behalf so that you don't physically have to be in every place at every moment. Making sure that your focus is on evergreen content so that you can share that literally for the next 10 years on and off without having to always be on. Looking at the kinds of software that can help you to shorten the amount of time that's required to produce content. Scheduling, batching, these are all ways to be able to show up, have your brand being visible without you having to physically be in contact with people 24/7. When you do that, then you've created something that's essential to this concept of too much, too soon, too fast, which is I need to pause and I need to pause now. When you have a system in place that is showing content to people without your day-to-day or minute-by-minute or even week-by-week involvement, then you can take that pause. Then you can slow everything down in your life as you then adjust to the new circumstances. So if you think about too much, too soon, too fast, what's happening when you're experiencing that is the first thing you want is for everything to stop. You need the pause. Then you need to have the space to adjust to the circumstances, to process what's happening and to decide, what do I want to do about this situation? Same with visibility. When lots of people come into your community, for example, when there's a lot of people starting to ask things of you or require things in your community, let's say you had a big launch and lots of people came into your program and all of a sudden everybody wants something from you, then if that starts to feel like too much, too soon, too fast, then we want to press pause. We want to adjust to the new circumstances. We want to create the space and time to adjust to, oh, okay, this is the new reality. This is what's happening right now. In order to then exercise choice, in order to decide, am I happy with this or not? Does this feel comfortable or not? Do I feel supported or not? And make the adjustments you need in your business. That might mean I need to bring somebody else on to support me with the management of this, or I need a community manager, or I need to up my prices so that I can welcome in fewer people and still be earning the same revenue. There are so many different ways that you can manage this as a business owner, but you don't know that until you hit the pause button and you take that time to adjust. If the trauma response has been ignited at that point, then the most important thing to do is to deal with the trauma response, is to do some inner work, healing, whatever the fear is that there, whatever the wounding is that's come up. This is why a lot of time when people say, what do I do here? My response is, let's do some block clearing. Because then you are making your decisions from a healthy place, not from a place of fear or panic or reactivity. And so if you have created an environment where you can take the pause, where you then can adjust, where you then can exercise choice, then you can focus on the next steps, which might be, we're going to just stay here for a while actually. I'm going to keep working with the people who are already here in my community and do that until my nervous system feels really settled in this place. And then we'll open up again for another round of people. I'll release another round of podcast episodes. I'll do another round of YouTube shows, whatever it might be. That way you can sustainably grow to the next and grow to the next and grow to the next. All the while not looking like I'm here, I'm not here, I'm here, I'm not here, because there's other content, because you've still got the system working in the background for you. So let's get really clear on what that looks like. When you're feeling healthy, when you're feeling not in a state of reactivity, when you're feeling in creative flow, that is an excellent time to create a bunch of content. That content then can be just put out into the world on a regular basis, scheduled, put out into the world. In the meantime, if I am doing a launch, or if I suddenly have a big influx of students or clients or anything else that then suddenly involves more of my time and my focus and my attention and demands more of me, then I can put aside some of the visibility work to focus on the other. I can manage the influx. Let's say it's doing a launch and then inducting a bunch of people into Women Speaking Up, for example. Then I can focus on that and bring those people in. Then I might close off enrollment for a while. I will focus on the people that are in the space. I will take time to adjust to the new energies, the new priorities, the new requirements of the students. And I will wait until I feel at ease with that. Then I will ask myself, okay, what's next? And then I can create more content, invite more people in, be more interactive in my community. And I'm doing it not from a place of being traumatized or feeling traumatized, but from a place of feeling ready and prepared and excited about the next step. And this is the way we become sustainably visible. So the first step for you in this process, and the action I want to encourage, is to notice when and where do my visibility efforts feel like too much, too soon, too fast, and where do I just want to put a hold. So noticing that, first of all, noticing the environment you're in or the circumstances or the actions you're taking, deciding, first of all, whether, this just requires some sort of behavioral shift and making that shift, or noticing that you have engaged in one of the fight, flight, fawn, or freeze responses. And then rather than judging yourself for, I'm not being visible enough, I'm being inconsistent, choosing to focus on healing the originating cause of that trauma response, or recognizing that trauma can create a behavioral pattern which is entirely appropriate when you're in physical danger, for example, when you're being harmed, for example, but which then carries over into environments which aren't actually problematic. But we can't see that because all that's happening is we're being re-traumatized and we aren't seeing our reality very clearly. And so we can work on that as a habit. We do that inside Women Speaking Up using neurolinguistic programming. Or we can simply say, this kind of advice around visibility is too traumatizing for me at the moment. I need to find another way. And then opening up. And this is as simple as just asking self, being, universe, show me a way to be visible that is less traumatizing to my system. And then giving yourself 24, 48 hours to see what arises. Sometimes that's as simple as, I just can't show my face at the moment. I don't want photos of me online. And so you can just shift. It's not about doing video, it's about doing audio. Or sometimes there's something that's very triggering around using my voice, physically using my voice. And so instead I'm going to write. And I'm going to show up and I'm going to express myself through the written word. There are many, many, many ways to be visible that don't involve you always showing up, being on video, or sharing lots and lots of photos of yourself. One of the reasons I like social media is there are so many different ways that people are showing up and being visible on social media. And so just spend a little bit of time noticing, what is that account doing? I follow accounts where I have literally never seen the person's face and they're hugely popular, but they share opinions which are well thought through, they're well researched, they're excellent sources of knowledge. That's one way to be visible. I follow accounts where I have never seen the face of the artist, but I have seen a lot of their artwork, and I love their artwork, and I've purchased their artwork off the back of seeing it regularly on socials. I have followed poets who, again, never see their faces, but I see a lot of their poetry, and I really, really love their poetry. That's just 3 different examples of ways people are showing up online to be visible without actually doing what feels very exposing to a lot of people, which is showing themselves. That may or may not be relevant for you, but it might spark a consideration of how else can I be visible aside from this really traditional influencer model of being visible. I'd love to brainstorm those with you. We do lots of brainstorming inside Women Speaking Up. We have weekly opportunities for live engagement and interaction with me. Sometimes that's through a workshop, sometimes that's through our office hours. So if you need that kind of environment, we're at womenspeakingup.com. The link is in the show notes. And I look forward to connecting again very soon. Thanks for listening to Lessons in Visibility. If you'd like to connect in other places, come on over to theschoolofvisibility.com. And you can also find us at The School of Visibility on Instagram, Substack, Facebook, and Threads. Lessons in Visibility is produced by the School of Visibility on the land of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people. I acknowledge the peaceful legacy of custodianship that tens of thousands of years of coexistence with the land has bestowed on us all. And I note the visibility journey that remains unfinished. Voice, treaty, truth.